Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Founders Challenge. Now, we created this series as part of the 20-week Founder Lock-in Challenge because so many of you told us that this is your session. This is your season. This is your season to focus, to scale, and to build your business with clarity and intention. So far, we've walked through the foundation. In week one, we defined your vision. In week two, you validated your market. And in week three, you anchored your business in real people, understanding who your customers truly are and how they move. And today, in week four, we're going to turn all of that insight into structure. Because every founder has an idea, but few, in my opinion, have a business model. And a business model is what turns your validation into something that can actually sustain growth. So this session is called the Business Model Design Lab, and that word lab is what matters the most. Today is about designing, testing, and architecting the financial and operational structure that allows your idea to make money, right? It keeps customers happy and it scales sustainably, right? So feel free to drop in the chat and let me know and let everyone know a bit about you. And really, really happy that you are here. So before we kind of dive into today's session, just want to take a moment to ground you in who we are and why we teach this way. So Copper and Vine Studio was founded over 20 years ago and rebranded in 2009 as a strategy and product architecture firm. We sit at the intersection of vision, design, technology, and compliance. So over the years, we've launched more than 400 products across Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, nonprofits, and early stage startups. So when we talk about business models, we're not talking theory. We're talking about what we've built, tested, and scaled across every kind of founder ecosystem imaginable. Our approach is what we call founder-centered architecture, meaning everything starts with your bandwidth, your priorities, and your reality. We believe success isn't about building faster, right? It's about building right the first time. We also are very outcome driven here at Copper and Vine. Our deliverables always tie directly to adoption, revenue, and funding readiness. And finally, we're compliance first. Every system we design is HIPAA or GDPR or accessibility aware from day one, because a good business model doesn't just make money, it's going to protect what makes you credible. And that's the lens we're going to be bringing in today with our business model design lab. One vision that bridges something that doing work that bridges vision, structure, and sustainability. So if you don't know by now, I'm Rakia Finley. I'm honored to be the founder and lead technologist and coalition architect here at Copper and Vine. My journey started as a full stack developer, someone who loved to build systems that solved real problems. And over time, I realized that building technology wasn't enough. We had to build equity into those systems. That's what led me to create Copper and Vine. So for the past 20 years, I've worked at the intersection of product strategy, architecture, and impact, leading more than, over 1,000 launches across industries, from startups to Fortune 500s to government initiatives. And as an entrepreneur and innovation educator myself, I've really helped and enjoyed helping founders design business models that aren't just profitable, they're sustainable and scalable. Many of the frameworks you'll see today were first used in those environments, from corporate strategy rooms to early stage starting labs. And as a movement leader, I've spent the last decade shaping how equity, innovation, and technology intersect, leading initiatives with the Obama administration, teaching across global accelerators, and breaking new ground as the first Black woman to lead an AI product firm in North America. But what matters most to me And what this session is about is making sure every founder has the tools and clarity to turn their idea into a structure that actually works. So, because every idea that we have, it really does deserve system strong, right? A really strong system that's strong enough to hold it, to hold its greatness. So throughout this season, throughout this session and all, we always want to ground ourselves in a real world example. We're using Our Turn during this challenge. Our Turn is a digital journaling and emotional wellness platform. It's designed to help people understand themselves and one another, right, through love languages and emotional reflection and gifts. So this mission of Our Turn is really simple, but it is meant to be powerful, and that's to change how the world gets loved on. So the reason we're using Our Turn as our working example isn't just because it's a beautiful product, but it is because it represents exactly where many of you are right now. When Our Turn began, we had a validated idea and we had early traction. We had a clear audience and we had some emotional resonance. But what we needed was is what we're going to unpack today, which is a business model that could hold the vision of Our Turn, a model that could define where the money comes from, how customers experience the product, and how the business grows without losing its heart. So as we go through each part of today's lab, I really want you to think about your idea and the same way we kind of thought about Our Turn, not just as a product or a platform, but as a system of value exchange. And you can scan the QR code if you'd like to see it in action. But for now, just keep in mind, Our Turn story mirrors your next step, and that's turning a meaningful idea into a model that scales, right, with people. So when most founders think of a business model, they think of a spreadsheet. They think of pricing, cost, maybe a few revenue projections. But in reality, your business model is your company's architecture. It's the full blueprint of how money moves, how value is exchanged, and how people experience what you've built. It's the system that answers three critical questions. How do we make money? How do we keep people happy? And how do we scale sustainably? So you can think of it like this visual. Your delivery system is the foundation, the rooms where you actually do the work. Your customers live inside that structure, experiencing your product or service. Your revenue flows through those rooms, connecting what you deliver to what people value. And your growth, that's going to be your additional floor, right? That's the thing you get to build once the foundation is strong. Too many founders skip this architectural step. They build the room for revenue, but not the walls that hold it up. The people systems, delivery processes, and pricing logic that make it sustainable are just as important. So today we're going to slow down and design that architecture together, because the growth isn't about more effort, right? It's really about having a smarter structure. So this is one of kind of an important mindset shift that as you as a founder, I want you to have, and that's that revenue is not your business model. Revenue is what comes out of your model when it's working. So your business model, that's the machine. It's everything underneath your systems, your people, your pricing logic, your delivery processes, and how all of it aligns to serve your customer. Most founders chase the output, more sales, more clients, more growth, but they rarely stop to engineer the machine that makes those things happen predictably and profitably. So when you feel like you're hustling, right, but not scaling, or you're generating cash, but still uncertain about sustainability, that's not a sales problem, that's a machine problem. So today we're not here to talk about how to make more money. We're here to talk about how to build a business model that makes money intelligently, one that keeps producing even when you step back, right? Because when your model runs like a machine, your revenue becomes rhythm. So I want to get you to a rhythm of revenue as we do this work. So our revenue model is simple. It's how the money comes in. So your revenue model is subscriptions, memberships, licensing, one-time sales. That's your cash inflow. But a business model is much bigger. It's the system that supports and sustains that revenue. So your offers, your operations, your people, and your growth strategy all working together. So the revenue model is like the faucet, the place where water comes out. And the business model is the plumbing. It's behind it, the pipes, the pressure, the filtration, the flow. It's one part, if one part of that is off, the plumbing part, the whole system either leaks or bursts. So when founders tell me we have a subscription model, my next question is usually, great, what's the business model underneath that? Who's delivering it? How does it sustain itself? What's the operating rhythm? And the reason this is important is because revenue is the result of alignment. So when you offer operations, when you have an offer or operations and people are in sync, the money tends to naturally flow, is from what we see. So today we're going to really try to rebuild that alignment from how you design your offer to how your model grows responsibly. So when we talk about building a business model that's revenue ready, we're not talking about adding more hustle, right? We're not talking about designing 4 very intentional layers. Each one we are talking about designing 4 very intentional layers, right? Each one builds on the other. So together they form this bit of a machine that makes your company sustainable and scalable. So our layer 1 is our offer architecture. This is where it all kind of starts. What are you actually selling? Not just the deliverable, but the transformation behind it. This is your modular blueprint. Every feature, benefit, and experience your customer pays for. Second to that layer is your pricing logic. This is where value meets math. You're not just assigning a number, you're meant to quantify. You're quantifying the ROI of what you deliver. Pricing should reflect the impact of your work, not just the time it takes you to do something. Then we have layer 3, delivery systems. This is where operations and technology come together to make sure your business can keep its promise. From onboarding to fulfillment is the goal. Your delivery system is meant to determine how well your model runs and how happy your customers stay, right? And then our 4th layer is our growth engine layer. So we really want to focus on repeatability here. What turns one sale into consistent, predictable growth? This includes your sales process, marketing, rhythm, automation, and feedback loops. Everything that fuels momentum. Most founders stop at layer 1. They define the offer. But the companies that scale, in my opinion, they build all 4 layers, intentionally, in sync, and supported by data. So this slide kind of captures the quiet truth of why so many founders stay stuck. They're not failing, they're just misaligned. So let's start with the left side. You might be making money, right? Your company is making money, maybe even growing. You're slowly hiring, but you're constantly exhausted as a founder. Or you can't tell if that new sale that you just got was profitable, or if it just added to your workload. Did it just add to our overhead, our capacity, our time? or you can't trace a straight line between your price, your delivery cost, and your margin. So those are three signs of that you might be misaligned, right? You're exhausted, right? You're hiring, you're growing, you're making money, but you're exhausted. That's a sign of misalignment. You can't tell if the sale that you just got is actually putting money in the bank or taking money out, or you can't identify just a straight line of understanding of your product offering, its price, how you'll deliver it to the customer, and what margins you want to see with it. So that's a business running on adrenaline, right? It's not running off of architecture. So now we want to look at the right side. In an aligned model, everything is connected. You know exactly how much it costs to deliver your solution, what margin you retain, and what ROI your customer receives in return. And that's not just about spreadsheets, that's about clarity. At Copper and Vine, we call this the alignment loop. Price, delivery, margin, ROI. That's our alignment loop. And if any of those points are breaking or broke, they are broken, your model starts to leak usually. It's going to leak energy, it's going to leak time, it's going to leak money. So when we're aligned, your team is meant to run smoother. Your customers are meant to feel consistently valued, and you begin to make strategic decisions, not reactionary ones. I want us to really presence the opportunity here, right, of no longer being a reactionary founder and being more of a strategic, forward-thinking founder. It's a great way to run a company. So one of the hardest truths for founders to embrace is this, and this is especially in the early stage, when something doesn't convert, the instinct often is to add more features, more products, more services. But more doesn't always mean momentum. So you don't need more offers, you need smarter ones, right? Offers that are modular, intentional, and clearly aligned with your ideal customer's transformation. Every new offer should deepen your focus, not distract it. Because scalability doesn't come from variety, it's going to come from clarity, right? So when your offers are designed strategically, your business starts to work like an ecosystem instead of a kind of a to-do list. So one of the biggest mistakes here when we make it with pricing is pricing by limitation. So looking at what imitation. So looking at what competitors charge and saying, well, we'll just do it a little less than our competitors. That's a huge mistake I see founders do a lot. They look at what's already in the market, they try to get aligned to their competitor, the person that they feel like they're in competition with. They do all the effort and work to figure out that competitor's pricing structure, and then they just tell themselves they'll copy it, they'll just do it less. And that does work for a bit, right? But the truth here is that your price should never be based on what someone else does. It should be based on the impact you create. So what you give is the solution. What you charge is the value of that solution's impact to the customer. So in the transformation, your product, if the transformation is your product or a service, and that transformation saves time, reduces stress, increases revenue, or improves life quality, right? You get to name when hired, we will do this. That's where the value lies. So you really want to think of this as this seesaw as your balance point. On one side is the value delivered, and on the other is the price charged. When the customer's perceived value outweighs your price, that's when conversion feels natural, not forced. And that's where your confidence as a founder begins to come from. right? So you really get to enjoy that. You're not just asking for payment, you're exchanging measurable transformation for fair value. And AI can help you with this, right? It can help calculate this balance by connecting customer outcomes to quantifiable data. But it starts with your clarity on a transformation to drive. So now that we've reframed pricing as a reflection of impact, not limitation, let's talk about how you are meant to design that value intentionally. So every sustainable business model has made what I call the ROI loop. It's the continuous cycle that connects your transformation, your price, your delivery, and your proof all within that. So here's how it works. So we have step one, which is define the transformation delivered. You're going to start with the result. What changes for your customer? Are they work after they work with you or use your product? What is going to be the result of that work, right? Transformation is the emotional, behavioral, or operational shift that you create. Right. Step two from there is going to be quantifying its value. So ask, what is that transformation worth to them? Right, to them. That could be hours saved, dollars earned, risk avoided, or even a reputation improvement. This is where empathy meets data. And then from there, you want to set your price from ROI, not effort, right? You're not pricing your hours, you're pricing your outcome. The goal is for your customers perceived or realized ROI to exceed the price they paid. That's what builds both trust and scale. And once that value is delivered, your proof becomes the foundation for the next cycle. Testimonials, data points, or core studies that validate your model. And then when you build pricing around this loop, you're not just creating revenue, you're architecting intelligence. Every sale becomes a new data point on how your model evolves. So every offer in your business should be connected to one ideal customer profile. And you did that work last week. And one transitioning goal, which you did that work about 2 weeks ago. So that's it, right? We don't need five. We don't need everyone. We just need one clear line of who it's for and what it changes. When you try to make an offer serve multiple ICPs, it becomes confusing to market, exhausting to deliver, and impossible to measure. So this is the level of clarity AI can also actually enhance just by analyzing who's responding, how they engage, and which offer they convert through most often is how you want to identify that. But you, the founder, you have to architect the logic first. Think of it this way: your ICP defines who enters the journey. Your transformation goal defines where they land. And your office is the bridge between those 2 points. So these are symptoms of a broken architecture. So if you're kind of sitting wondering, did I do this already? Do I need a better business architecture? I think mine's is fine, right? Let's kind of talk about how you know when your business model is out of alignment. This is what I call the business model red flags. And if you felt any of these lately, it's a signal that your architecture needs work. So if the people who used to buy from you suddenly aren't engaging, it's not a marketing problem. It's a model problem. It means your offers or channels no longer align with your ICP's current needs. Next to that is sales or pricing is fluctuating kind of wildly. So when your revenue isn't predictable, it's often because your pricing isn't rooted in data. It's reactive. You're charging based on effort or comparison instead of ROI and transformation. And then from there, overhead grows faster than sales. So this is a huge one, right? If your operations are scaling, but your profit isn't, that's not growth, right? It's expansion without clarity. It means your delivery systems or team structure aren't optimized around your model. Your systems create noise, not insight. That's another red flag. So if you have tools, dashboards, reports, but nothing is talking to each other, that's a data problem and a design problem. So if your systems can tell you what's working, they're not scaling your business. If they cannot tell you what's working, they're not scaling your business. They're actually suffocating your business. So the red flags don't mean you have failed. They mean you've outgrown your last business model, right? And that's a good thing because you get to rebuild with data, empathy, and architecture that actually reflects where your company is headed. All right. So let's bring back Maya. If you can watch the few our previous webinars, you know we use Maya as an example of the clients we work with. We would love to show you some of our clients, but we're very heavily NDA'd by majority of the work that we do. So we've built Maya as a strong representation of what our clients usually look like. So we've met her previously in previous session, and so far we've gotten Maya to do hopefully what you've also done over these past 3-4 weeks. We've clarified her vision and we've validated her market. So now that she's at the next critical step, turning that validated idea into a real business model that makes money, that keeps people happy, that scales, right? We want to build a professional concept. So Maya built a development framework, right? And let's say she built a framework to help women of color advance in their careers. So after validating that people loved her content and coaching, she realized she needed to move beyond one-on-one sessions and into something scalable and structured. So we worked with Maya to break her validated offer into 3 modular tiers. We have her library access, her mentorship sessions, and her community portal. Now, each tier is tied to a specific ICP segment and a clear transformation outcome. The modular design means she can align pricing, delivery, and margin instead of guessing what to charge and where to spend her time. And here's the powerful part. Once she built this infrastructure, AI helped her forecast revenue across these tiers. It helped her identify her most profitable customer type and see where her delivery systems needed to tighten up to scale. Maya didn't just build an offer, right? You can kind of tell now she architected a model. So let's start with step 1 of how to do this work. Let's try to do what Maya has managed to do. So step 1, I hope you have your paper with you and I'm going to ask you some prompts that I want you to think about, and you'll eventually put it in our workbook that you'll gain. But let's kind of just talk about how we move through these steps of building a effective and strong business model architecture. And I want you to have your vision of your company in mind, along with your ICP awareness that you also learned for us to talk business model. So if we start with step 1, it's defining the transformation. right? Every strong business model starts here. If you can't clearly articulate what changes for your customer after they work with you, your model will always kind of struggle to prove value because transformation is the foundation of pricing. It's the foundation of delivery and retention. So, for example, when Maya first started, she knew her clients loved her coaching, but it wasn't until she mapped out beforehand a before and after that she realized the true value was measurable transformation. So before, clients were motivated but inconsistent. They were unsure how to sustain growth. After, clients stayed engaged 90 days longer, completing their development path through her framework journey. That insight didn't just help her marketing, it helped her architecture. It showed her that her system creates transformation through access, consistency, and community. Right. And that's what her business model needed to kind of monetize and replicate. So here's your exercise. I want you on your own to write your before and after statement. So you get to complete this sentence. Before they work with us, they fill in the blank. After they work with us, they, right? So this isn't copywriting. This isn't about a great pitch statement of any kind. This is data. This sentence is the root of your value logic. Oh, right. So yes, sorry guys. So it'll kind of define your pricing and delivery systems. Great, great. So then step 2 is where your idea starts to become real architecture. So no matter whether you're building an app, a SaaS platform, or a service, every scalable business has raw ingredients, the individual parts that create the total experience. So your goal here is to make those parts visible because you can't really price and you can't automate or optimize what you can't see. So I want you to kind of list out every component of your offering or product, everything that makes the user experience and the value delivery possible. So this includes features or modules like analytic dashboards, community spaces, or integrations, operational systems like onboarding, flows, notifications, or reporting, and even support layers like documentation and tutorials or team time, right? So after you list everything you can possibly think of, you're then going to go to the next column and tag each one. Are they high impact, which means that they directly drives the user's transformation or main value outcome, high impact. From there, it's nice to have. So it's supportive, but not essential for ROI or retention. And then from there, it's high cost, expensive to build or maintain. We might not see profit in this high cost, right? And then low cost, efficient, automated, and reusable. So in my our example founder, right, did this for her learning platform, she gets to realize that membership is, kind of at the core, right? And then she had her learning platform. So she's realizing I have my learning platform, I have my mentorship sessions and those are my high impact, but high cost, while her framework library was both high impact and low cost. So that insight helped her design a tiered model that balanced customer transformation with, their sustainable margins. So the principle I want you to remember is high impact plus low cost is scalable. And then high impact plus high cost is premium positioning. Okay. Premium positioning. So each module should stand alone when you do that work of listing out all of those modules, aligning them to an ICP and naming them high cost, high impact, or otherwise. So now that you've listed those, you want to turn them into modularize. Well, you want to modularize them, right? So modularizing means breaking your business down into clear, self-contained parts that can stand on their own or scale together. This is how every strong platform, SaaS, or service company evolves. Anyone, right? They move from what we do to how it's structured. So for app or platform founders, this might mean identifying each feature group or system module, like onboarding, analytics, community, or integrations. For some founders, this could mean segmenting your delivery, like strategy, coaching, or implementation. The key is that each module should deliver a specific transformation or outcome. So if you look at Maya's example, library, right, where users access her frameworks, guided practice, right, where they kind of apply those frameworks, community, where they learn from each other, cohort, where she delivers live learning experiences, and team analytics, where she kind of measures engagement and outcomes. So what she realizes is that not every customer needs all five. And that was kind of the unlock, right? You could now offer her, you could now tier her offers, automate lower cost modules, and reserve high touch experiences for premium tiers. So when you modularize, you stop selling everything to everyone. And you start designing scalable pathways for different kinds of users or customers. So it's how your startups reduce chaos. It's how growth stage companies protect their energy. So as you build your model, ask which modules should be core to every expansion, which can be optional, which can be upgradable or automated, right? Your modular structure is the foundation of every future revenue stream you build. So now that you've defined your modules, step 4 is where we make them intelligent. This is where your business model stops being a list of features and starts becoming a system that aligns directly to the consumer for you serve, right? So every module should exist for a reason, and that reason should tie back to a specific ICP, your ideal customer profile, and their desired transformations. Right. So here's what that kind of means. So now not every customer needs every feature, workflow, or experience. When founders skip this step, they end up with cluttered products, overextended teams, and confused customers. So I want you to make each module the one ICP and the one measurable thing. If I see you, I can't wait to hear about it. So you get to ask yourself, so you kind of think of like, what is this feature or service actually built for? What transformation does it deliver for that person or company? And what does success look like when it's working? In Maya's case, she mapped her modules this way. She had her library and community modules served early learners, her ICPA, her cohorts and guided practice were for professionals seeking mastery. That was her ICPB. And her analytics connected to enterprise clients who needed measurable ROI, her ICPC. This exercise gave her clarity on which module should scale broadly and which should stay premium. It also is how she prevented product bloat because she was able to ensure every feature of her app was intentional. So when you do this right, your architecture tells a clear story. For the customer, using these modules, this is the outcome we promise and we can prove. So once you've built your modular architecture, it's time to decide how money actually flows through it. We're finally talking about the money. And this is where most founders kind of get stuck. They think their business model is their revenue model. But remember, your business model is the system, and your system model is the stream. Your business model defines how you create and deliver value. And your revenue model defines how you capture that value. There are a few common kind of approaches you can take to this. And the best models are often combined, and yeah, often kind of have combinations of these things. So layered intentionally across different ICPs or product tiers. So an example of that is subscriptions, recurring access to value over time. This is great for digital platforms, apps, and community ecosystems. Think predictability and retention there. Then you have cohort, um, community, right, or program-based. So revenue tied to time-bound transformation. This works well when results come in cycles like education or coaching, accelerators, models. Then you have license or white labeling. So that's letting others pay to use your IP or letting others pay to use your technology under their own brand, right? So this is ideal for scaling enterprise partnerships. Great. And yeah, so, and then from there, you have add-on or usage space. So that's charging for specific features, integrations, or additional users. This allows flexibility and aligns your pricing to how much value the customer consumes. So when Maya reached this point, right, she realized she didn't have to choose just one. Her core platform became a subscription. Her mentorship experience ran as cohorts, and her enterprise clients paid licenses for organizational access. The key question I want you to ask is, which revenue model aligns with your customer's behavior? Not your competitor structure, but your company's behavior. And your goal is to pick what's popular. That's not, that's not the goal to pick what's popular. It's to design how cash flow supports your delivery growth and impact. Okay. So this is the part that makes or breaks your growth. Most founders, especially early on, price based on effort, how long it takes, how much it's going to cost, how hard it feels. But effort is not value. Effort is your input. Price should always come from impact, your output. That's your output. So here's the shift. You don't charge for what you do. You charge for what your customer gains because you did it, right? Whether you're selling SaaS product, a digital platform, or a service-based coalition, your pricing should reflect measurable ROI, time saved, risk reduced, performance improved, or revenue granted. When you price from ROI, not effort, you stop undervaluing transformation. You start anchoring your pricing to the proof your business delivers, and you attract the kind of customers who want results, not discounts. So in Maya's case, when she rebuilt her model, she didn't just ask, how much should my library cost? She asked, what is the financial or emotional value of a user gaining 90 more days of retention or community support through that journey, right? That's ROI logic. The formula to that I want you to remember is value, ROI, magic. Okay, so fun. So in this case, so value, ROI, magic. So right, magic, and for me, magic is price. So your job isn't to justify the cost, it's to communicate the return. And that's where intelligence, both data and AI comes in. AI can now help founders quantify impact. And that's what we have a worksheet for you all, and we'll help you figure out how to do that well, right? It's there to help you compare historical data. You can use AI to simulate pricing models based on customer engagement. So that's how you making pricing scientific, not emotional, kind of works. So once you know what you're selling and how you're charging for it, the next step is to design how it gets delivered consistently, efficiently, and profitably. So your delivery system is the operational engine behind your business model. It's the part that makes sure your promise to the customer is actually fulfilled, not just once, but at scale. So every strong delivery system is made up of 4 layers. People, that's who is responsible for delivering the value. This could be your internal team, a set of contractors, or even automated systems. So for founders building apps or platforms, this also includes your customer success and support ecosystem, the humans who interpret what the technology delivers. Second to that is process. How does delivery actually happen from start to finish? You want to map your user flow or service workflow like a relay race. What happens after a customer buys, signs up, or activates? Every step in that journey should be designed to minimize friction and maximize value delivery. Third is tech, right? What tools, systems, and integrations make this process run? This is where you align your tech stack: CRM, automation, analytics, communication, data flow. For app founders, it's your backend architecture and customer interface. For service founders, it's your digital operations environment. So, fourth to that is quality. How do you ensure what's delivered is consistent? This is where your metrics, audits, and improvement loops are going to come in. And AI, again, can actually play a big role here. It can support you in monitoring your user satisfaction, flagging drop-off points, or analyzing operational bottlenecks. So when Maya designed her delivery system, right, she realized that her model wasn't just about having the right modules, it was about having the right rhythm. So her mentors, automations, and analytics tools all work together to create one seamless experience. So that's the takeaway here, right? Your business doesn't scale by adding more. It scales by leveraging the systems that deliver what you already have. So this is the moment where everything comes together. That was our last step of building our business model architecture. We started this series with vision in our week 1, right? Your why, your audience, your story. That was week 1. Then we moved through and we got to validation, proving what people actually need and will engage with your idea. And today, we built the model, the architecture that lets that idea make money, create impact, and grow sustainably. What you see here is what that transformation looks like in real time. Maya now has clear ICP segments. She knows exactly who each offer is built for. She has defined her modules and tiers so her product can flex between audience types and price points. And she has a smart pricing and growth metrics. So she can see the relationship between user behavior, value delivered, and revenue generation. So she's not just working harder anymore, right? She's working intelligently. Her system has evolved from an idea into an operational engine, one that's measurable, adaptable, and ready to scale. And that's where I want you to land today. That's where I want you to be. I want you to land with the awareness that your business does not doesn't grow by chance, but that it grows by architecture through intentional alignment of your audience, your offers, your delivery, and your data. So from here, you have everything you need to move from validation to scalability. Whether that means forecasting your revenue, optimizing your product roadmap, or preparing for funding. All right, so now it's your turn to take all of this and put it into action. Each week, we're going to give you a worksheet that builds on the one before. So this week's worksheet includes everything from today. It also has the past week worksheets in there, so you can continue refining your vision, validation, and now your customer understanding. There's going to be a space to define your ICPs and transformation goals. There's a prompt that's going to break down your offers into modular pieces. There's a pricing logic exercise to connect impact and ROI. And there's a place to document your delivery system and revenue flow. So awesome. Please, I always say, do your homework. Doing your homework is going to get you to a really great place at this point where you'll have everything that Maya has. And we really want that for you. So just, as we start closing up, I want to ground what today is meant to be for, right? These four principles are the difference between hustling towards growth and architecting growth. So, one is architecture over assumption. Founders often skip straight to execution, assuming that business will just hold together as it grows. But every successful company has an intentional architecture. The model isn't just what you hope will work, it's the blueprint that proves what does. Modularity creates clarity. When you break your product or service into clear modular parts, you unlock insight. You can see what drives value, what drains capacity, and what scales cleanly. Modularity doesn't just open your offers, it makes them measurable. And then from there, we have price from proof, not effort. You don't price based on how hard something is to build. You price based on the transformation it creates. Effort is internal. Impact is what your customer experiences. So when your pricing reflects ROI, you create a win-win equation between your business and your buyer. From there, AI is the mirror, not the answer. So AI can fix a broken model, but it can reflect it back with data, patterns, and insight. So you get to use AI to really reveal inefficiencies, align your team to hear you talk, right? But use AI to really reveal and amplify your clarity and, not confusion. So these are some just cornerstones of a revenue-ready business when you build from architecture, clarity, proof, and reflection. Scaling stops being guesswork and starts being strategy. So next week, we're taking everything you've built, your validated idea, your customer journey, and your business model, and we're going to make it operational. Because once you know how your business makes money and what it delivers, the next step is making it run like a machine. So we'll walk through how to choose the right tech stack to support your business model, not overcomplicate it. We'll learn about the systems and automations that keep your operations consistent and scalable. And the SOPs, those standard operating procedures, every founder should have it in place. So yes, those SOPs. So if this week was about designing your architecture, next week is about kind of wiring it up, making sure every part of your company talks to each other and performs without friction. So whether you're a solo founder, a small team, or you're running a really fast-growing platform, this next session will help you align your tools and processes for your growth goals. So come ready, because this is where your business stops being an idea and starts operating like a company. So for those of you who are kind of realizing as you're working through these weeks with us, and thank you so much for joining, and I hope it was helpful. Please, we welcome your feedback. Let us know what you need to learn, how we can help you advance during this founder challenge we have coming up. We can edit and change this thing to really support and apply and help you all get to where you're going. So please, please share your feedback. But for those who are also realizing this is the work you've been avoiding or the clarity you've been craving, Copper and Vine was built exactly for this work. So we work with founders, studios, and organizations to take their ideas from concept to compliant infrastructure, and we do it quickly on their behalf. So whether you're building your first MVP, you're scaling a validated product, or preparing for funding, we align with your vision, your bandwidth, and your priorities. And we do it in a way we create structure that actually scales. So our team is going to blend strategy, architecture, and engineering. But more than that, we're going to protect your runway and make sure your building is worth the effort. So you can scan the QR code to schedule a free consult. We're offering anyone who experiences our webinars a free consult. And I look forward to being a resource for you when you do that. So yes. And just as we head out, before we wrap, I want you to remember my favorite thing. If nothing else, one, you have permission to lead a really big idea, right? It can be complex, it can be world shifting, it can be community centered. And you don't need to shrink it down to fit the templates or timelines that other people expect of it. This challenge was designed to remind founders that structure isn't the opposite of creativity, it is what protects it. Your job as a founder is to believe in your idea deeply enough to give it a system that lasts. So as you go back to your work, I want you to build bravely, build with empathy, and don't apologize for wanting to make something extraordinary. Thank you all for showing up today. Thank you for your time, your energy. Thank you for your courage to build. I hope you leave today with more clarity, more structure, and even more confidence in how to grow what you're creating. And remember, the goal is not perfection, it is progress that you can prove. So thank you so much. Go be great. And I'll see you next week for systems that work. I look forward to it. Awesome. Have a great day, all.